Hey guys, so here it is. Here's the strawberry, the mini strawberry right here. We're going to make these into a set of earrings. So what you will need is, in terms of the materials, you'll need obviously a very tiny and sharp needle. You'll also need a 0.9mm hook, as you can see here. You'll need a pair of cutters. You will definitely need something called fiber filling, which is the stuff that you put inside your strawberry. And then if I haven't forgotten anything else, you will also need red and green cotton yarn or thread. But I'll show you what I do. There's a special thing that I do here with my cotton yarn. So I actually use 4-ply cotton yarn normally. But in this case, what I will do with my 4-ply cotton yarn is, first of all, I'll pre-cut maybe about 2 meters or so in length. And then with my 4-ply, this is only 2-ply right now because I pulled some apart already, but it's usually 4-ply, which means 4 strands. And I will pull one of these strands apart from the other 3 strands of my cotton yarn. And that way I'm working with 1-ply cotton yarn. So that's how I do it. But if you want to go ahead and buy thread, like, that is completely up to you. You can only really pull this apart with cotton yarn anyway. So yeah, okay, that's it. So let's get straight into it. You'll need red and green, of course, and then the rest of the materials I told you about anyway. All right, let's jump straight into it. So what I'm going to do first is create a magic ring, and I'm sure you're familiar with how to do a magic ring as well, so I won't go into the details for that. Make sure you're using your 0.9mm hook though for this. And inside my magic ring, we're going to make a total of 6 single crochet stitches, and that's really it, just a total of 6 single crochet stitches. It's just that you might want to make the very first stitch a little bit more loose compared to the others, because you want to get into that stitch later and you don't want to find yourself having difficulty with that. So we've just made 1 single crochet stitch, and I've made it a little bit looser than I normally would. And now we're going to complete the other 5. So here's number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, sorry about that, number 5 right here, and number 6. Okay, so now we have 6 single crochet stitches right here, and the thing we are going to do now is grab the yarn tail and pull that. Just pull that yarn tail, and not too tight because you don't want to break the yarn tail, whatever you do. Then what we will do is continue to crochet in a spiral. So we will not be doing a slip stitch and chain 1. We're just going straight into our very first stitch that we made, and we start round 2. Now in round 2, you can see at the bottom, what we want to do is make a single crochet stitch first. So here's the single crochet stitch. And then in the very next stitch, we're going to be doing something called an increase. Now an increase simply means 2 single crochet stitches in the 1 stitch space that we're working in. So obviously I've just pulled my hook out of my yarn there, but I'm back in. So I'm going into the same stitch space and making that second single crochet stitch right there. And now all you will do is repeat that pattern a total of 3 times. So we have to do this another 2 times. So here's the single crochet first, and then here's the increase, 1 and 2. Now let's do it again. So this is the last time we do it. Single crochet stitch first, right there, and then we have, of course, to finish off, the increase. So this is the increase right here, and there we go. We've just finished round number 2. Excellent job, guys. So what I want you to do at this point is, if this starts to curve the wrong way around, I want you to just grab your hook and start manipulating your strawberry so that it's facing the right way. You want it to face the correct way, not inside out, if you will. And you want to correct that after the second round, because if you continue on with the third, it makes it a little bit more difficult to correct it later on. Okay, we're up to the 3rd round now, and in the 3rd round, what we will be doing is a single crochet stitch. So this is number 1, and then another single crochet stitch. So this will be my second single crochet stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do an increase. So here is the increase. We've got 1 single crochet stitch, and then in the same stitch you make the second single crochet stitch. Now repeat that another 2 times for a total of 3. So there's my first single crochet stitch, Here's my second single crochet stitch. Turn that project a little bit so you can see where you're going. And then in the third stitch, you'll make the increase. So here is the increase right there. And we need to repeat this one more time. So single crochet stitch, then another single crochet stitch, and of course our final round 3 increase. So we're finishing on an increase here. Just turn your project so that you can get it nicely held in your hands there. So here is the final increase for the third round. All right, good job guys. You just finished the third round of your strawberry. Now in the very next round, so this is round 4 now, you'll see at the bottom, we're actually going to be doing 2 single crochet stitches and an increase again, but this time we're repeating that pattern 4 times. So let's do this straight away. So 1, 2, and then an increase in the next stitch. So there we go, 1 and 2. Turn your project a little bit so you can see where you're going. Let's repeat it. This is the second time. So 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, and then an increase, as you'll see here. So here's the increase. Excellent job, guys. Now we have to repeat this another 2 times. We can do this. You guys have got it. So let's go. Let's move this yarn tail out of the way as we're doing that as well. So here's the first single crochet stitch. Here's the second single crochet stitch, and then of course we have the increase. Here it is right there. Excellent work. And let's repeat this one more time. So single crochet stitch, single crochet stitch, and finally we finish with an increase, and this will be the end of round 4 once we've finished this right here. So let me just get in here. I'm just struggling a little bit because my yarn tail seems to be getting in the way. But don't you guys worry, you will be able to do this. So here's the first and here's the second single crochet stitch, giving us that increase to finish round number 4. Fantastic. Now in round number 5, what you want to be doing is, it's very simple and straightforward. This time it is 3 single crochet stitches and then an increase. Repeat that 4 times. So let's start. We've already started. 1, 2, and 3 single crochet stitches, and then of course you have the increase. So here's the first increase. So you can see we're just repeating this pattern now over and over again. So let's do that again. So 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and the increase, which we will have right here. So what I want you to do now is pause the video and repeat that another 2 times until you've finished round 5, and that will give you a total of 20 single crochet stitches in the round. All right, so we've just finished round 5 there. Now for round 6, this will be fairly straightforward because all it will be is just 20 single crochet stitches that you'll make. There are no increases in this round, so this should be fairly straightforward, hopefully, for you. So we've got 1, 2, here's the third, here's the fourth, and you'll keep going until you finish a total of 20 single crochet stitches for that round. So I'll let you do that, and then we'll come back after round number 6. All right, so we're now about to start round 7. Now in round 7, what you'll be doing is the following: 4 single crochet stitches and then an increase. So let's begin this so I can show you how to do it. So 1, there's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3, this one's number 4, the 4th single crochet stitch, and then of course you have the increase. So let's do the increase right here, and there you go. Let's do it one more time. So we've got 4 single crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then of course you have the increase. Now I'll let you repeat that another 2 times, and then we will start round 8 and 9 straight after this. So repeat that another 2 times. Round 7 is now complete. We have 24 single crochet stitches in the round right now. If you count them, it should be 24. Now for rounds 8 and 9, so that's 2 rounds, all you want to do is just do 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch of the other round. So you should have 24 single crochet stitches in each round, but you have 2 rounds of that. So for example, here's my first single crochet stitch, here's my second, here's my third, here is my 4th, and so on and so forth until you reach 24, and then repeat again for rounds. So that would be round 9. So you've got rounds 8 and 9, 24 single crochet stitches in the round. Okay, so we have just finished rounds 8 and 9 with 24 single crochet stitches in the round. This is as wide as it gets for your strawberry. And now we're going to begin the decrease rounds. Now don't be scared, decreases are not hard to do, it's just a different sort of technique, and we are going to be making invisible decreases as well. So I'll show you how to do that as we get to it. So for round 10 right now, we want to make 4 single crochet stitches and then a decrease, and we want to repeat that pattern 4 times. So let me show you how to do this here. So you've got the first single crochet stitch, which should be fairly straightforward for you now. Here's the second, here's the third, and here's the fourth. All right, now we are up to the decrease. Now for this decrease, what you want to do is have your hook come in the front loop of the stitch, of the next stitch, that's what I should say. And then instead of pulling the yarn through here, you're actually going to have the hook go into the front loop of the next stitch as well. So that's 2 stitches where the hook goes through the front loops. Okay, now once you've done that, I'm just struggling to get my hook through that second front loop for some reason. There we go. I'm going to pull the yarn through. So you got 2 loops on the hook right now, and then you're just going to pull the yarn through that. And that is what you call an invisible decrease right there. Now we're going to continue that pattern. So here's 1, here's 2, here's number 3, and number 4 single crochet stitches, and we're ready for the decrease. So front loop of 1 stitch, then front loop of the next stitch, then pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook, and then pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook. So that again is a decrease. So we've done that 2 times now. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, and number 4 for our single crochet stitches, and here comes the decrease. Front loop, then front loop again, and you might need to stretch it just a little bit, pull the yarn through, and then pull the yarn through. And last time, 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, 4 single crochet stitches, and of course the final decrease here, front loop, then front loop again, then pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. And there you go, you've just completed round 10 right there. Excellent job. All right, so we don't have too many rounds to go to make our strawberry base. We are currently up to round 11. Now, instead of doing 4 single crochet stitches and a decrease, this time we will do 3 single crochet stitches and then the decrease. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3 single crochet stitches, and we are ready for the decrease. Let's begin the decrease. Front loop, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. Let's repeat. We have this to repeat 4 times. So 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and a decrease. Front loop again, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. Now we have to repeat that only 2 more times before we finish this round. You guys can do it. So here we go. Single crochet stitch number 1, number 2, and of course number 3. And now we have the decrease. Front loop again, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. And last time, let's repeat this again to finish round 11. Single crochet stitch number 1, number 2, and number 3, and here we go. We got the front loop again, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through to complete that decrease. So you guys just finished round 11 now, which is excellent. We only have 2 more rounds to go, which is very exciting. Now what I would tell you to do is probably cut the yarn for that tail that goes right in the middle there. You don't really need that anymore, so I'll just shove that back inside the strawberry to get rid of it. Now let's do round 12 since we're here. This time, instead of 3 single crochet stitches, we make 2. So here we go. Let's start. Single crochet stitch number 1, number 2, and then of course the decrease. Front loop, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. Let's do it again. Single crochet stitch number 1, single crochet stitch number 2, and try not to make these too loose either. Keep the same consistency. And then we have the decrease right there. I might take my finger out now because I really want to make sure that I'm not getting loose with my stitches. So single crochet stitch, second single crochet stitch, and then where's that decrease? Right here. So front loop and front loop again, and pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. Now we just have it to repeat this one more time. So single crochet stitch number 1, single crochet stitch number 2, and wonderfully so we have our last decrease to make. So here it is, decrease is coming right up, and there we go. Guys, there's only one more round to go, but first, before we finish that final round, let's add some fiber filling inside our strawberry base to give it some texture and some filling. So here's some fiber filling. As you can see, just got it from a cushion or a pillow. You can buy it probably at your local grocery store or something. Not too hard to get, and you probably have some lying around the house anyway. So I'm going to use my pair of cutters to really push my fiber filling inside, and this will help me compress it in there so that you don't have those air pockets. And it will just make it full as much as possible. So I want you to take your time whilst you're trying to fill up your strawberry. Pause the video, fill up your strawberry, and then come back once you feel like you've got a firm strawberry there, with the fiber filling all inside with not very many air pockets. Now a cutter is usually a good way to push your fiber filling in because it's pointed at the ends here, which is kind of what you want to really compress it together. So I'll let you guys do that now, and we'll come back once your strawberry is finished. Alright, so I have really compressed that fiber filling inside my strawberry here, and it's good because I don't have the fiber filling popping up, if that makes sense, because you don't want that, because as you're doing this last round here, you don't want to be crocheting the fiber filling in the last round, so you just have to be very mindful of that. Now in our final round, what we'll be doing is a total of 5 decreases. So you should be fairly familiar with these decreases now. So let's make them together. So here's number 1, and keep the stitches nice and tight. So here's number 2, and then here will be number 3. So this is my 3rd decrease, and just I'm got to be very careful not to get that fiber filling. That's why you really want to compress it as much as possible. So that's number 3. Then here coming up will be number 4, my 4th decrease right here. And I'm going into the front loops, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. And my final one, this is number 5 and my final one. So come into, give it a little bit of a tug there. So front loop again, pull the yarn through, and finally pull the yarn through those 2 loops. Once you finish those 5 decreases, guys, the very next thing that you'll be doing, there's only one more real thing that you'll be doing, is go into the next stitch with your hook, grab the yarn, and just make a slip stitch. That will even it out, because remember you crocheted in a spiral, so you don't want to have it uneven at the end there. So I'll just do a slip stitch to make that an even level, and then I'll just pull the pre-cut yarn all the way through. You should have a lot of yarn. If you didn't have enough yarn, you can easily add yarn whilst you're doing your project, so it's not too hard to add yarn there. And I should probably make a video of adding yarn or color changes, because it's the same technique there. Alright, so now I'm going to weave the yarn tail through the eye of my very small needle. This needle needs to be small because you can see the stitch spaces here. You don't want to make them bigger because of a bigger needle. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to weave the yarn tail through each of the front loops in our remaining stitches. Now we should have a total of 7 front loops in our last round, because we only made 5 decreases. So because we made 5 decreases, it means we have 7 stitches in our last round, which means we want to go through 7 front loops in order to complete this project nicely. So I think this one was number 5, then we have number 6 over here, and then finally we have number 7. So once you have weaved your yarn through all, or weaved, I don't know which one, what's the correct past tense there. Once you've done that anyways, you're going to pull the yarn and you'll see that gap close up, right? So once you've got the gap all nice and closed, you're going to insert your needle right in the center of that gap and then just come out anywhere. So I'm going to come out over here and I'll pull the yarn through and I'll just watch it pull nice and tightly until it's nice and level and closed there. And once it is, I'm just going to weave my yarn again. I'll come down below that stitch. It's all red, so it doesn't really matter where you go at this point. And as I pull the yarn, I won't pull it as tightly. I kind of want this to just blend in with my normal stitches. And I can do that 1 or 2 more times just to really secure my closed section over here. So I'm going to pull this and not too tightly either. And there we go. And now you just cut the yarn because it's excess. You're not going to weave all of that in. And then just push in that yarn tail that's kind of popping up in there. And there is the strawberry base, as you can see. So next we're going to make the stem and the leaves for this strawberry. So here's my green colored yarn, and remember I'm going to be using 1 ply, so I'm going to pull that 1 ply yarn from the rest of my pre-cut green colored 4 ply yarn. And once we've done that, we're going to start this off by, again, just a regular magic ring. So a magic ring, again, you should probably know how to do this. If you don't, go check out my tutorial videos on how to make a magic ring. And once you've made the magic ring, what we will do next is crochet 5 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring and keep that very first stitch a little bit loose. So there's number 1, here's number 2, 3, 4, and lucky last, number 5. Wonderful. So once you've completed those 5 single crochet stitches, grab the yarn tail and pull that, and it will just close that gap in your magic ring. Now we are ready to start round 2. There is going to be no slip stitch in chain 1. Instead, we're just going to go straight into that first stitch that we made in the very beginning. Make sure you get into both the front and back loops of that first stitch. And I feel like I'm only in the front at this point. So let me get this in properly. This is why you want to make that first stitch a little bit looser compared to the other ones, because it is hard to get into that front loop. There we go. Okay, so from here, we're just going to directly go to round 2, and we're going to make 5 single crochet stitches again in this round. So there's number 1. Then let's see where number 2 is. 2 is over here. That's my second single crochet stitch. Then here's number 3. This one is my third single crochet stitch. And then turning it around, here is number 4. Right there, number 4. And finally, my last and final single crochet stitch in the round. So that's 2 rounds now of 5 single crochet stitches. And it's very important at this point to have your project oriented in the right way. So pull down that yarn so that it's not inside out, and make sure you do this at this point. You don't want to leave it any other place. So second round, get the orientation correct. Now from here, we're going to make those leaves for the strawberry. So what we will do in order to make these is we are going to chain 6. Oh, actually, before we do that, just before we do that, go into the very next stitch. So if I can find my next stitch, it's right here, I do believe. And this is where I'm going to make a slip stitch. Remember how I said when you crochet in a spiral, you have a little bit unevenness? So finish with a slip stitch to just make it even once you've finished however many rounds you need. So we only needed 2 rounds, so now we've just slip stitched to make those a little bit even. And now we're going to make 6 chains. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. Now, it is a little bit hard to see, but it is possible. Just bring your eyes closer to your project. That sounds so mean, but it's literally true. Okay, we're coming into the second loop from the hook right here. And we're just going to make a slip stitch, and always be careful of this slip stitch. It's not easy, and just work it very slowly and until you've got it. So the slip stitch is done. Now you'll make a single crochet stitch in the very next loop. So here's my single crochet stitch. Then wrap the yarn and make a half double crochet stitch in the very next loop. So pulling the yarn through, and then the yarn goes through all 3 loops on the hook to make that half double crochet stitch. Then in the next loop of the chain, you're going to make just a single crochet stitch. And then finally in the last loop, you're going to come in there with your hook, Make sure you get in the loop as best you can, and then just make a slip stitch to finish that off, just like so. And then you're going to come right into the area where you made that slip stitch and make another slip stitch, just like that. And now you're going to make a total of 6 leaves all the way around. So once you've chained 6 here and you've completed this, you'll go to the next stitch to make a slip stitch. Then you'll complete the next leaf, and so on and so forth until you have 6 in total. And then we'll make a slip stitch in the first stitch to finish, and that will be it for your stem and leaves. So I'll let you do that, pause the video, and come back after that. So I have just finished now to make those 6 leaves. I've made a slip stitch in this very space over here to finish off, and now I'm going to pull my remaining yarn through the loop on my hook, as you can see. So I'm just pulling it through. Oh, do we have a knot over here or something? I'm not actually sure. I'm not sure why it stopped going through. There we go. Okay, no issues. It just stopped pulling through for a little bit. There was probably a little bit of a tie bump or something. Okay, so we've just finished here, the leaf and the stalk. So just make sure you push that stalk outwards as well. Okay, now before we sew this onto our strawberry, what we're going to do is grab some white 1-ply yarn, and we need to start making these seeds, because you can see we've got seeds over here, right? So we need to do the same thing for this strawberry. So let us make the seeds right now. Okay, so here's my 1-ply white yarn, and we're just going to use the same really small and sharp needle here, and I'm just going to weave my white ply yarn into, well, it was meant to be into, and it came out the other side, but into the eye of the needle over here. So let's try and get this. This is like the worst part. I swear I say this in every video. This is like the worst part for me, is trying to weave the thread through the eye of the needle. I don't know what it is. I just have such an aversion to it. It drives me crazy. So let me just try and get this in. There we go. Oh, thank goodness. All right. Now that we've done that, I will show you what we will do. So here's my strawberry, okay? We're just going to enter my needle anywhere, and we'll start right at the top. So maybe in like the 3rd round, 4th round-ish. Pull the yarn all the way through until you've got a little bit of a tail over here. Don't get that tail caught up as you're crocheting. And now you're going to, where do we go? We're up here. So now we are going to make these beautiful seeds every couple of stitches in the round. So I will let you guys do this on your own, and you can see me do this in 2 or 4 times speed all the way. So I will be quiet for a second, because you're just doing the same thing over and over, and you're going to continue this until you finish and worked your way all the way to the bottom. Okay? Okay, so we've just finished all of these seeds, and I'm going to insert my needle and emerge at the point where my first yarn tail came in. So I want to go into that same stitch space as best as I can. I know the needle's sharp, so you don't want to get any other yarn threads. You can see I'm kind of not in the right position there. At least I don't think I am. There seems to be a little bit of yarn thread between these two, which I don't quite like. And it will make it difficult because you don't want to tie across a piece of yarn thread either. So maybe I'll come out in a different section. Just come back here, and then I've got to find where I open this. So now what I'll do is come back inside this same stitch over here, and then I'll try my best to get into, there we go, into the stitch space without catching any other thread. So there we go. So what I'll do now, since I've done that, they're both in the same stitch space, I can tie a double knot with my 2 yarn tails, and this will finish off and secure all of that white yarn that I have. I'll use a pair of cutters to now cut around the double knot. should be secure, so you shouldn't worry about it coming undone. And then from there you can just use the back of your yarn needle to kind of push that thread inside the body to hide it away. It might take a little bit of effort just to really hide it away, but once you're done, you now have the strawberry with all of the seeds around, which is beautiful. Now we are up to the stem and we need to sew this onto the top of our strawberry. Now here's the yarn tail from the magic ring, so I'm just going to cut that because we don't need it to be that long. So I'll cut it just there and kind of push it back into the stem section so it can hide it. And then I'm going to weave this yarn tail, this green yarn tail that we have here, into the eye of my needle. Give me a good amount there. And then from here, we're just going to place this on the top of my beautiful strawberry. Find that center point. And then at this point, you can start sewing. So where do we want this first tail? Maybe around here. So what I can do is have the needle come out at the point where I want that stem to be sewn. So I'll show you here. So we're just, don't want to tangle that. Don't get it around the other stem. Make sure you're not tangling it all up and crocheting where you should, or sewing where you shouldn't be. Now we're going to sew this here. So what we'll do is we might come just after the midpoint of the leaf, or the midpoint really, and go through the side of the stitch, and then from there you'll come out the other side, and then you'll go straight back into the same stitch that you came out of over here. So that's number one. Now number two will be around here. So we need to have our beautiful needle come out around the point where you want to sew that second leaf. So there's my first leaf right there. Now I'm going to sew this second leaf. So I'm just after the midpoint of that went flying. So I went one, and then I'll come around the other side and go back into this same section here, just perfect, and then come out where I want the third leaf to be. So let's just pop that up a little bit. You might see that the stem is kind of looking a bit flat, and you can just pop that up whenever you feel to do so. And now I'm going to come around that midpoint on the one side, pull my yarn through, and then come on the other side. I sometimes just go in the back loop, you know, like I just want to be sure that I'm really securing this in place. And then from there I'll come over here. So it's just a little bit of eyeballing once you're sewing all of this together. Stick up that stem because you really do want that stem stuck up. Then we'll come here into my next leaf. This is the fourth leaf, I do believe. And then I'll come over here, come back into the same stitch over there, come around maybe over here. Can even come a little bit closer, I think, so that we just have enough space for the last leaf. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's number 5. So I'm coming one side, sewing up one side. Oh, I went quite close to the end there, but that's okay. And then I'll come back over here, go straight back in here, and then my last leaf will be around about there. So we've got some even distancing, or as even as possible, with all of the sewing here. So let me just sew this last one in place. This is the last leaf, so I'll come out the side again. Now the only thing that I want to do at this point, let's go down here, sew back into this spot here, and I will just come up here. So this is my stem now, so I'm around the stem. And what I will try my best to do, first of all, I got to place this nice and neatly, orient that well. You got the strawberry leaves over here, but the stem, let's just stick that up a little, needs to be secured in place as well. So I might come over here, put in my needle, and I'll come out at the body because it's too hard to push the needle to the next section. So I'll just come out in the body here, as you can see. And then I'm just going to go straight back into that stitch and come out in a different section of the stem where I also need to secure it. And watch, it disappears because we're in the same stitch. And then I will secure this maybe over here. I'll come out in the body again. The body meaning my strawberry. And you know what? That's even secured in place just like that. But you can keep going if you don't feel it's secure enough for yourselves. Now to really secure this yarn tail, I'm just going to weave it around the body a few times, going back into the same stitches every time so that you don't get green in your base of the strawberry. And you'll create a web inside of your yarn tail, which is perfect because this will really secure it inside. Even though you can't see it, it will be secure. So I'll come here, maybe this will be my last one, pull through, then I will cut the yarn just like this. And now with my needle, I'm just going to push in that last bit of green thread that's kind of sticking out there. And now we have 2 beautiful strawberries, as you can see here. And now what we will do is add and attach the earrings. Let's do that now. Okay, so we'll have the jump ring and then also the hook, as you can see here. Now what I will do with the jump ring is I will find the place of connection and then I will open it sideways. So you can see here, I'm opening it sideways, just like that. And then from there, I'm going to grab my strawberry and I'll find a point where I can insert this jump ring and come out the other side. You just want to be careful that you don't break the yarn at this point here. Once you've done that, it doesn't matter which way the hook of the earring goes. You just want to place it on top there. And then close the jump ring as best as you can. You can even twist it so that the connection point is kind of inside the stem, if you will. And then if we have a card or something, let me see if I can find one. Yeah, here's one here. All I need to do here is just place each earring inside the card like this. And then you could add those stoppers at the back. So for example, I have a bunch of stoppers over here. You can just add them at the back of your earring set to finish that off. But there you go. There are your strawberry earrings that we have. And I hope you enjoyed making this. Make these for your friends. Make them for yourself. Please don't forget to subscribe if you've enjoyed this video and I've taught you something about crochet. Anyways, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.